Sourced and bottled in majestic mountains, liquid death mountain water will murder your thirst.
Now I'll pour it with death.
Alright, there we go. What is up? Nerds. That's what I'm gonna call my viewers. I'm just gonna start every stream with, what's up, nerds? Oh. So yeah. What's up, nerds? I see Julie's in here. Dota. Doom guy. Oh, user plus number came back. Nice to see you again. So I probably need to fix the URL still, but you can use code SECRETCOWLEVEL to get a discount on your next order of Liquid Death. So that's pretty exciting. Always use a coaster. I frequently troll the Battle Station subreddit just to see like people's bitchin' desk setups, just how I got such a bitchin' desk setup. And I always comment on people who have this like perfect setup and then they have their drink just sitting on their wood desk. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna ruin that amazing desk with water circles. It's not the way it's supposed to go. My thirst is murdered.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! 4 months! Seeing me work on the game and getting to know me and my family. Yeah, me and Julie, the kitten children. It's funny, you guys are getting little glimpses of my mess every time I start streaming. It's like, what other shit does Justin pile on his beanbag? Oh, thank you, Brian, Arch Inquisitor, for subscribing again. I think you are safely still my #1 fan. I appreciate that. My #1 nerd. I gotta switch mice. Oh, hang on, my other mouse died. Had to charge it. There we go. Oh. Yeah, well, he's really good at Doomtrooper and gaming the matchmaking system. Oh, I'm gonna start working on the matchmaking system again this month at some point. Maybe this week. This week is kind of going to be a bust on a lot of the big projects because I have a lot of like business corporate shit that I've had to deal with. Looks like I got a new accountant, a new bookkeeper. Well, my first bookkeeper and a lawyer who's been very helpful. Not to mention the lawyer is writing up some contracts that I can use to solve the problem where some people are getting copyright strikes or claims on videos of Doomtrooper, which is a high priority for me to fix. So. But I am going to work on matchmaking, like I said. So I'm going to set it up where right now it just kind of connects two people together as soon as they're there. Like I wanted people to get into games for alpha as quick as possible. But now that we have like a regular stream of players, I'm going to make a processing queue. So when you join matchmaking, I'll have a timer and you'll just sit there for a while. So it'll take like, I would guess about 10 to 15 seconds to get a match instead of instantly. But what it's going to do is it's going to get all other players, if any, that are in the queue with you, and it's going to rank them based on like their level versus yours. Try to find a good fit, and it'll try that like every 3 seconds for like 10 seconds or 15 seconds, and I'll toy with those numbers in different updates. And it'll try like 3 times or 5 times or something along those lines, and if it doesn't find anybody who's like perfect, it'll give you the best person that it found. On slow hours, it's still going to be like the same 2 people getting matched up, level 1, level 30. But if it gets busy, or as it gets busy, then people will get matched up a little better. It's just I never took the time to do that because we didn't have like a heavy flow of people into multiplayer. I just ate dinner and I have like a vegetable stuck to my mouth. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, I don't know, I could feel it. I'll save that for later. Yeah, a veteran won't match up with a new player as often. That's the idea, at least. Let's see what else. I thought I had something else, but now I don't remember. I'm trying to start focusing on coding new cards first. I'm a little delayed this week, but I'm going to do some tomorrow and make sure that we have like at least 5 cards every week. And then hopefully Dota and Adam can get back on cards. And like if everybody was able to add 5 a week, then we're getting there really quickly. But then as less bugs get reported, hopefully I'll be doing more cards than 5 every week. But I want to make sure I do like 5 cards first and then fix bugs instead of the way I've been doing it, which is fixing bugs first. So that should be helpful. So yeah, Liquid Death. Guys like my commercial? I put my hair in a ponytail. Oh man, yeah, I think matchmaking will help a lot, but I need to make sure that we don't have a lot of bugs in the code, which we're getting less and less and less, which is nice. And then I'll be able to focus more on new content every week, more and more. It's like 10% of my time, then 20% of my time, then 30% of my time. Look, it looks like I have no hair. Oh, it's still there. My Doomtrooper hair. I have to keep it until we ship. It's the best I can do to hide it. All right. Yeah, that's why I don't want them, Dota. There's like a certain look that like a left-leaning, woke, late 30s married man looks like, and I don't want to look like that. It's like you gotta have the thin glasses and the big ponytail, and you wear like comfy clothes and you're super chill and like I don't know, I don't want that. All right. Hey, look, no camera. Come on, camera. OBS is failing me. Ha! There we go. Isn't that fun? Playing with OBS. Every time I stream and I tweet, I don't know if you can see that, it's just like there's so many bots that just watched JavaScript, game dev, indie dev. It's like when you're learning how to program the Twitter API, your first job is to write a bot that retweets a hashtag. It's kind of funny. So my posts will get like 20 retweets, and I have 9 people in chat. 9's pretty good, but it's just funny how everybody writes that bot on the Twitter API. And a lot of them like indie dev, JavaScript, game dev, whatevs. Oh boy. So I don't remember where I left off, like what I was going to do. I think I was going to fix this pane. By the way, I think I found live on stream. If you click on packs, look at that bug. That's a new one. Oh, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna have to fix that. That's from the new rewritten collection. Let me go to the old collection. It shouldn't happen. Yeah. So this notification window used to live in the main menu code. So when you're in the deck builder and you triggered this, you wouldn't see it. But then when you went back to the main menu, it would pop up in your face. So I moved everything where it should be. There's a component called the root window, which is the root of the engine. And I mean, I probably... It's not very clean yet. I cleaned it up on the horror games we made, but I haven't ported that code over to this yet. But you'll see like the debug console is here, the message window is here, the keyboard mapper, the protocol handler, which is what allows it to handle URLs, the watermark, the escape menu, the rules menu, all that stuff all lives in the root. And then whichever route that you are loading, that loads somewhere. I don't even know. It loads somewhere. Somewhere in here. Render children. There it is. So whatever route you're on renders in the middle of it, which is pretty common. Yeah, it should be a lot less than this. I mean, it's functional. I think the rewritten one is functional instead of a class, and doesn't do any of the weird shit. Well, it still does some weird shit because I made it, but it's a little bit cleaner. Also, I'm really proud of the new stuff. I can't prioritize doing this on Doomtrooper yet, but the new horror games, they actually make this into more of a proper engine or framework. So stuff like the debug console, the keyboard mapper, the protocol handler, the watermark, the curtain, the UI blade panel, probably the snack bar eventually, and probably the modal window. Those are all plugins. So when you launch your game, it has a list of plugins, and the plugins, I don't even know, it might be easier to... see if I can find it real quick. Is the audio being weird? Oh, what's it doing? Let me try listening on mine. Let me try listening on mine. Let me restart RTX. Hang on. All right, how about now? All right, how about now? Still staticky? I think I hear it. Huh. I'll try turning the level down a little. Maybe I'm blowing the levels. try turning the level down. Maybe I'm moving the level. Huh. Echo. That's weird. I restarted. I restarted RTX voice. Check, check. Weird, I turned off RTX and it's still staticky. Yeah, I turned off the soundtrack. Still a little staticky though. Weird. Maybe it's on Twitch. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. She sells seashells by the seashore. Peter piped a pickled pepper, something. I guess I just have to reboot my computer, so I'll have to do it next time. If it gets really bad, though, let me know and we'll cry together, I guess. I was going to try to find... Yeah. So you can see like a plugin for the engine. So it has a reducer, keyboard commands, selectors, actions, the component itself, and then the name of the plugin. And then it just exports them all. So then when it gets loaded into the root window, or I call it the cardinal shell, it will inject the reducer with the name of the plugin. So it'll be called console in this case. And then it'll inject the sagas if they exist. So they're listening for actions. And it'll set up any keyboard commands. Now the keyboard command stuff's a little wonky because it gets weird when you have multiple plugins that want to register the same keyboard keystroke. So you need priority levels and whether or not it stops propagation and stuff. So I'm gonna have to rewrite all that. But it's it makes basically all of the plugins will have nothing to do with Doomtrooper, just like the root window has nothing to do with Doomtrooper, and the electron layer will have nothing to do with Doomtrooper. And then everything else that the root window or the electron layer needs, like the low-level stuff, would get loaded from a JSON file. That could be loaded in from the disk or downloaded from the server. Because the medium term at this point goal, I'd say early 2021, is I would like the shell, the engine, when it starts up, it would ping the API and it would say, here's my game ID. I'm game ID 666. And the server will say, cool, 666, here's everything you need to bootstrap yourself. And it will get a JSON blob that's like, this is your root URL for assets. These are the assets you need to download. This is the name of your game. This is the scene you load first, anything like that. So it would download everything that it needs and then it would play. And why that's important is if I release my tools as a browser-based tool set, you will be able to log in and see a list of games you've created, similar to like any dev site you've ever used. And you'd say new game, and you'd create a game, and you'd name it, and you'd upload your icon, and you'd, I don't know, upload the list of plugins you want to use or whatever. And then when you launch the client, it would ask you for that ID in a config or something. And then it would ask the server for all the stuff you set up, and it would download everything it needs to play the game that you created. So then imagine, you're making a card game, say it's a deck building game, and you want to script your card types. You would script them in the browser or upload the files to the browser or whatnot. and then the game would download everything it needs and all the assets it needs to play it, and the server would handle everything that you scripted. So you would be able to start prototyping your own card game in like an hour tops. And all you would do is log into the browser, set up your account, download the client, and then tell the client who you are. And then the client would just download everything it needs and you'd be playing the game. Yeah, one of the big things that's missing from the backend now, Dota, is the idea of the game ID. So instead of like Doomtrooper API slash games slash users or whatever, it should be API slash game ID slash game slash user. So you'd like inject the ID in there so it knows what you're actually downloading. But that'll be like version 1.0 of a new API. Like Doomtrooper will probably remain its own API, and then we'll adapt the new version to run multiple games, and then at some point we would combine them so that Doomtrooper would be running on the new tech. At least that's the plan. Unless Doomtrooper blows up like super big, and then we just keep it on its own separate server set. But there's really no reason not to combine it and then just have good tech for the whole system. So yeah, so the plugins are really clean, they're easy to use. And then I really like, I think it's root window. Everything's in folders, it's nice and clean. And then, yeah, you have like console commands that you just define what the commands are going to be in a JSON blob. And then here it is. When you initialize the plugin, you pass the JSON commands in. So some commands are built into the console, like quit and version, and then anything that's game specific, you just pass in as a prop to the console. So you don't actually have to touch the console at all. You just manipulate it with props. And in theory, all of these plugins would take a style prop as well. And you'd be able to change the look of the console to match your game if you wanted to. But that's a whole mess of another project. So anyways, that's kind of the future of like what this technology will be. And anyone who knows React.js would be able to work on the client, download the source code. You know, the most likely the client side will become open source. So you would get access to all of the tools and stuff. And then the backend would be closed source. And you'd use the tools to set up your games and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see which direction it goes with open source versus closed source. Whew. This hat might be too tight. With all that hair stuffed underneath. I'll say the more coders you have working, the less scared I'd be to open source. I don't know. I think the more coders I have, the more scared I am. Like I can't control all like Invader's code that he added in. Unfortunately, just have to kind of deal with it. Let's see. Well, here we are. Wow, we jumped up. 13. 13 people in here watching. Say hi. Be friendly. Coding during COVID-19 is a very lonely task. Load scene, collection, new. Yeah, you gotta be friendly. Ask me questions. I'll tell you all kinds of embarrassing stories once you get me going. Yeah, so these down here need to be like a fixed thing. So we have the deck list, the title and the card list, and the buttons. Well, if you're lurking, then who am I going to talk to, Dota? The other 10 people are lurking. Let's see. Hey, thank you for following. Oh god, you guys are fucking with me at this point with these usernames. Like you guys heard the rumor that I can't pronounce anybody's username correctly, and then you show up with a name like Medicine Yeepy? I tried. I'm sorry I butchered it. Is it something it's not English or backwards? Am I missing? I can't do it. Oh man. I'm just gonna call you Med. I'm so bad. Oh man. Well, thank you for following, Medi. Oh man. I'm convinced you guys are fucking with me at this point. Let's see. Border 1 pix. Let's do 2 pixels solid red. Nope, that's not what I want. And we really need someone in charge of all this CSS code because the guy who was in charge, I love him to death. His name's Chris, but I think he got sick of my shit. He was like basically in charge of all our UI development, and when I ran out of money for the funding, he was like, "Okay, I'll still help for a couple hours a month, just to help you get out the door." But then like a year went by, so I didn't really bother him very much. But once in a while, I hit him up and I'm like, "Hey, can you assist with this?" And last time I hit him up, I was like, "Hey, can you help out with a little bit of stuff? Maybe I can find some money to pay you." And he just didn't respond. Oh, yeah, the hat is not working with all my hair. All right, I'll go with the old favorite hat. Liquid Death. Show the commercial again. I have a button to show that commercial, which I'm pretty excited about. I just don't want to annoy the shit out of you guys yet. Just showing it all day long. Yeah, so what we want is flex here. So um, we want a container that is display flex. Watch me flex, haha, my CSS muscles. Warning, my CSS muscles are pretty small. Wait, how did you do that comment? I told to my parents? What is that in reference to, Dota? Style equals flex 2. This is probably not actually going to work now that I set out to do it. Flex direction. I always get confused column versus row. There we go. Yeah. You know what? I don't want to flex this. I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. You guys don't listen to anything I say. What we want, I'm just going to undo everything I just did. Oh. Oh, do your parents hate me? Do they think I'm mean to you? But they don't think I'm mean to you. Oh, I killed my music. So we need the bottom div to be fixed, I guess. Do a fixed bottom 0. And then style equals what position? You have to do relative. No, it's just absolute. Maybe you don't have to do that. Yeah, I don't know. Remember when I said I didn't have very good CSS muscles? Now you know why. Hide console drawer. Am I editing the wrong file? Oh, it's not display. Jesus. I should not be coding today. Position fixed. You guys gotta help me. Well, yeah, man, all my arguments are code-based. Or, I guess, or politically motivated. I think we talked about this in another stream, but, you know, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but if you're a Nazi, I'll probably punch you in the face. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna win the fight, but I feel like it's my, like, God or Satan given duty to punch you in the face if you're a Nazi. Wait, no. A Nazi or this guy who has just the most punchable face in the world. I mean, look at that. Do you not want to punch him? Like right in the nose. Just like, I don't care how much security he has. I don't care about the federal charges. I just want to punch him right in the face. And just so you're clear, this is not gender motivated. It's not racially motivated. It is purely two things. It is one, he thinks this giant coffee cup is funny. It's not. And two, he single-handedly ruined the internet. So this guy, if you ever see him and his stupid fucking coffee cup, punch him in the face. And if there's some way for me to take the blame, I will do it. Because this guy ruined net neutrality. Because just, yeah. Don't want to go into too much detail, but let's just say that Donald Trump likes to promote two types of people. A, people he sees on Fox News, and he wants to be closer to them, regardless of their affinity for the job. And two, people who have capitalism and financial interests in a private sector, and he puts them in a position of power so they can change the laws to make their private sector business more lucrative. Ajit Pai came from Verizon, I believe. Probably should get my facts right before I punch him. And then became head of the FCC. It's like, you came from the communications commercial industry that was being blocked by the FCC, and now you're in charge, and you can change the laws for your former company. You put him right on par with the Nazis. I mean, that guy is going to ruin, if he hasn't already, the internet for everyone, slowly over time. It's never going to be as good as it was last year, the year before. Dude, me and John Oliver share our hatred for that man. And if I could just be friends with John Oliver for one day, and we could put like Rambo American flag things around our head, and we could just find Ajit Pai and punch him in the face and be like, this is for the internet, I would do it. Would you watch that sitcom? Or I guess it'd be more of a drama. Me and John Oliver with our glasses and our nerdy white faces, wearing bandanas and tank tops, and running out and punching fascist FCC dudes in the face, smashing their coffee cups. I would watch that show. All right, that's about enough of Agit Pie, I think. Oh. All right. I forgot to respond to my text message. Sorry, that was important. Okay. Not that you guys aren't important. It's just that was like 5 hours delayed. I forgot to say yes. Agit Pie, man, that guy. Whew. My wife just called me a nerd bird. A nerd bird. So the container here does not stop. Flex direction column. What is that? That's what I wanted. We have deck card list. Is that it? Deck card list. I separated this into so many components. No, that's not it. Flex. What the fuck am I looking at? I want to be inside that box, but I am not inside that box. Am I? Well, now I'm just confused. Yeah, I have no idea what box this is. That's why I don't like debugging like that. It's this one. Position relative. I don't think he did the styles.what. I think that was me. All right, position relative. There you are. Maybe fixed doesn't work that way. Gotta do absolute. Come on, help me out. I suck at this. I can write JavaScript all day. Hey, there we go. God, that looks like shit too, though. That's not where I want it. I want it down here. Yeah, well, I got there eventually. I thought the other one looked better, though, didn't it? Doesn't it, like, stay... Yeah, see, this is how I want it. How did I fuck this up so good? So... it's like 3 divs. So you got a parent div, which is flexed. And then you have a div with no height that is somehow magically that high. And then a little one. Don't quite understand how that's working though. Sometimes CSS code just like literally makes no sense when you look at it. Like if this is flexed, this is flexed. Let me move it so you guys can actually see it though. So if this is flexed, this is not, and it's not set to like flex 1 or anything. And then this, the only CSS on it is margin top 1. How does it inherit that size? Like, I have no idea what would make that the right amount of size. Flex direction column, margin min width. It's got this flex 010%, which I actually don't know what that shorthand syntax does. So in our version, get rid of that bullshit that I just did. One is shrink, stretch, and the percentage. That must be what does it. We must not have that when I redid this component. Yeah, so there's the parent. It's display flex. No, it does have it. Flex 0, 1. On the inside, you have this thing. Oh, the buttons are inside the wrong parent, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, the buttons are in the wrong thing. So maybe put them in their own thing. Nope. This isn't fun, guys. So it kind of lines up now like it did before. But all right, let's look at the good one. We're gonna learn this. Min height 100, display flex, blah blah blah. Line items, justify content, background color. That's the inside. We don't care about it. It's just this one. Overflow Y auto. And the bottom has nothing. Yeah, but I didn't think this would be the hard part. It's two freaking things stacked on top of each other. I guess I could just try copying the code a little closer. Overflow Y auto. I'm gonna lose all my viewers tonight because nobody wants to watch CSS. Yeah, I do not understand why it magically sets itself to that height in the other code. Obviously we missed something, so. This would be deck list. You see, it's all CSS is always annoying, is what it is. Looks like you're using the Google Inspect page button the way everything highlights. Alright, so here are the buttons. Here are my buttons. Pretty much copied this shit verbatim. Okay. Then this we don't have. Apparently we missed this, which contains the card list and the title, so it would be here. That doesn't fix it though. Yeah, you would think. It's black magic, I tell you. Feel like a crazy person looking at this. So if the deck is selected, what is this shit? This is where it shows the card. So we don't need that. And there's a div, then there's the deck title. Then if it's valid, it shows a message. So we don't need that, it's not rendering. And we render the card lists. So look at that. Alright, so here's some code. Deck card list. This has to be it, because we didn't do any magic in here. This is another reason why I'm rewriting all this stuff, is like you want to come in and do something really quick and you can't find it. You can't fix it. You can't do anything. It needs to be easier to work on. It needs to be like a 5-second, like, oh, let me just open that component, take a look, and change it. And if you can't do that, what did I break? What is not found in here? Deck card list. What did I break now? Yeah, I think I just need like more sleep. Can I read property? Oh, I have props in here? I have lots of props in here. Gross. Props. Selected cards. Came from a class component, not a functional component. My opinion of styled components is I don't really like them. But it's not a strong opinion. I just think the syntax looks weird. I think it's a little confusing. It's easy to fuck up. You don't know what you're doing. What will change my mind either way, though, is if styled components works on React and React Native. So if you can use a styled component and you can take the exact same code and you can use it on native versus regular React, then I would be all for it. Well, more for it. I don't know if I'd be all for it. Oh, man. I just want to know why this container works differently. The more I code, the less I'm interested in anything that compiles down into a different language. Like, I don't want to write CoffeeScript that compiles to JavaScript. I don't really want to write Sass that compiles to CSS. I don't want to write C++ that compiles to WebAssembly. Like, I don't those are all usually, not always, but usually just fads. And you're gonna write this entire code base in some super hot fad of a cross-compiling transpiled language, and then it's gonna fall out of fashion. You're gonna have to rewrite everything. That's why I don't use TypeScript. If any of them are gonna succeed, it's gonna be TypeScript. But secondly, I don't feel that using TypeScript makes JavaScript better. I don't think using CoffeeScript makes JavaScript better. I don't think Sass makes CSS better. You are like 10 years ago, JavaScript was a guy who got his arm cut off by a rusty, dull saw. And instead of like fixing his arm and cauterizing the wound and realizing the arm is gone, you can't have it back, but we're going to do the best we can to make sure you don't die of sepsis, which is a metaphor for fixing JavaScript. Instead, we just slapped a band-aid on his bleeding stump of an arm, called it CoffeeScript, and moved on. And we went through how many years of everybody thinking CoffeeScript was going to change the world, and then all of a sudden it was dead, and anyone who had large CoffeeScript projects now had to hire CoffeeScript specialists to port it back to JavaScript, because we finally went back and cleaned that guy's wound. Unfortunately, by this time he lost half of his torso as well, and we improved the core JavaScript language. So instead of Sass, and instead of less, and instead of TypeScript, why don't we put more money in fixing JavaScript's core problems? And that's what I support wholeheartedly. I was a member of the Node Foundation. I don't know if I owe them money or something. I monitor like the React, can't remember what you call them, but where people suggest new changes for the React API and people vote on them, like technical committee. I have monitored the Node.js technical committee. It's a little above my pay grade because I'm a little rusty with my C and C++. But it's not going to make your life better in the long run to make your life better in the short term by using TypeScript. And I know I'm like yelling into the void and nobody's listening to me on that fact, but I see it clear as day. Like, you don't want TypeScript. You're right, TypeScript is what pushes JavaScript, sure. But you don't want TypeScript. As much as you think you do not want it. What you want is types in your JavaScript. But you can't have that, so you just go to this band-aid, which is TypeScript. But what you should be doing, which I know is a big ask, is you should be voting, talking like I am, and promoting and pushing and submitting papers, technical papers, of how we can add types to JavaScript as a language, to ECMAScript, if you want to call it that. Like, how in 2022 does JavaScript launch with types? And all browsers support it, and by then it'll just be Chrome anyway. And people say like, oh, it'll never be done, but we added modules recently, classes, class decorators, reflection, I don't even know what else. We've added some crazy shit to JavaScript over the past 5 years. There's no reason we can't add types. We added constant let, there's a good one, and arrow functions. We could figure out a way to do typing. We could build TypeScript into JavaScript. There's a path there, but nobody wants to do it because it's hard. I mean, the proper metaphor would be, I complained earlier about the leader of the FCC. I should just be running for local office and working my way up to take his spot in the national polls or whatever. Like, you know, you're mad at the president, then you should run for president. Like, that's kind of what I'm saying here, and I get that. But maybe you don't run for president, but maybe you volunteer a couple weekends to promote a local candidate for your city council that you believe in. That's the equivalent I'm asking you for. Whereas just using TypeScript is the guy saying both of the candidates suck, so I'm not going to vote for either of them. It's like, don't be that guy. Like, do something to make JavaScript better instead of just ignoring it, putting this TypeScript band-aid on top, and then acting like it's an amazing language, because all it would take is Microsoft to decide they don't want to do it anymore, and it would fall apart within a year. Because the community would rally, and then they would fight, and then they wouldn't agree on its future, and then you got a 50-50 shot whether they come out of the rubble like a phoenix, or if they just all give up and they fail and walk away, which happens way more than you guys realize. I don't know if you guys know Lodash, but before Lodash there was underscore, and Lodash was like a rewrite of underscore, and then there was a brief period where they tried to combine the two so it could just be one project with two teams working on it, and I tried to contribute to that, and people tried, and they couldn't agree on how they wanted the libraries to be set up, and it just fell apart. Like it might just be as simple as I want semicolons versus I don't want semicolons, and the whole merger will fall apart. So I really do. I support TypeScript. I honestly, I wouldn't have never said this 4 years ago. I support Microsoft right now. Windows subsystem for Linux 2 is okay. Just putting Linux into Windows is phenomenal. Buying GitHub and letting them continue to operate autonomously. VS Code is one of the best IDEs I've ever used in my life. Also, VS Code is Electron-based, so it's written in JavaScript, so they are eating their own dog food to push JavaScript and Electron forward. Electron's owned by GitHub, well, kind of. So Microsoft now technically owns Electron. So it's like, they're smart. They're doing the right things. But TypeScript is still a band-aid. So if you use it, great, but remember that. Like, next time you use it, think, man, I did not mean this rant to go so long, but like, I'm very passionate about this. Let's say there's 13 people in chat right now, and let's say all 13 of you program JavaScript front end. How many of those 13 do you think know how the Babel RC file works and how the Webpack configuration works? How many of those people do you think have taken the Create React app and ejected it and gotten to the plugins and the underlings of how those tools work? So what I'm saying is, if you don't have a firm grasp of how, not even a firm grasp, I don't even know that I have a firm grasp, but I have a good grasp, how Babel transpiles your code, how it uses plugins to set that up, how ESLint works to check your code for problems, how Webpack is using or not using some of those things to build your code. Sourman70, thank you for following. I guess my rant isn't so horrible. But you have Webpack, you have ESLint doing a little, probably with your IDE. You have Babel, and then you put TypeScript on top of that. And now do you want Sass on top of that? That's going to compile your CSS. And now you have this app that works, and it's beautiful, and you're excited, and you're progressive, and you're like super stoked because you're Brian Marquette. Man, I got to rant more often. Thank you. You have all of these tools that are taking your code and they're transpiling it and compiling it and God knows what else to make something pretty on your screen. Maybe it's VS Code. VS Code is probably using all these tools under the scenes. But like, what do you do when it stops working? Like, a great example is React Hot Loader. There's like 5 different versions of it, so I don't know if I'm using the right terminology for the current one that everyone's using. But sometimes when I'm using Electron, and my Electron has 2 packaged JSONs, one for the Electron layer, one for the app layer, which is kind of common. So I have custom Webpack, custom Babel, and custom code to do the hot reloading, and it all works great. And then one day it doesn't. What are you going to do? You don't know how hot reloading works. And the error that you see might have something to do with Babel. but it might also have something to do with a C++ layer that's compiled with Node GYP, however you say that. And there's a lot of, it's like a Jenga tower. And the Jenga tower is 90% built by these tools, Webpack, Babel, TypeScript, Sass, that you don't understand. And I'm generalizing because some of you might understand it. And then you build your little pretty piece of React.js up on top of it. All of this stuff you don't understand, and it can break at any time. It's just as fragile as anything else in the Node environment. One person with a dependency breaks something on NPM, or God forbid, NPM breaks NPM, and the whole Jenga tower falls down, and you have no idea. You're done. You can't fix it. I mean, you could, but you don't probably have a firm grasp on all those pieces. So why are you putting? I'll wrap this up. Why are you putting all those pieces in the first place? Like, it's great that you can create React app, and it's great that you can make a card render on your screen and you can click on it and it flips over and it's using CS. Like, that's cool. And I support you learning, and I support you trying to better yourself and better your skills and whatnot. But I also support you remembering all of those Jenga pieces that live underneath that a fraction of people know how they work. And think to yourself, like, why am I building my castle on top of these stilts? And then maybe you make some different technical decisions. Or maybe you don't, and everything works out great. I mean, that's totally possible. But I'll tell you, it doesn't. It works out for a while, and then it falls apart, and then you're stuck. I mean, just look at I don't even have everything open here, right? But like, all of this JavaScript is all here. Any piece of it can break. Any third-party tool that I'm using could break through NPM, and I have to deal with that. But then on top of that, this folder, Steamworks SDK, which I'm probably not supposed to show you guys, that's C++. So that has to be compiled by your machine for your platform to create a shared lib file from C++ that can be loaded in via Node GYP bindings and fed into the Electron layer. That is a nightmare, but it has to be done because I have to communicate with Steam, and Steam doesn't have a JavaScript like module of their own. So props to the Greenworks guys who've done those bindings. So I didn't have to, because I don't ever want to do that, I don't think. But like, it gets really confusing really fast. There's a lot of shit. So all this because somebody mentioned Sass. Oh shit. Yeah, just be aware of the stilts you're building your tower on. And alternatively, I always tell people this and no one listens to me. If you're importing an NPM module that's like 15 lines of code, you are relying on that author to maintain that. So why not just figure out how that 15 lines of code were written and then write it yourself? And then you control it and you don't have to worry about it breaking. And take that knowledge all the way up to something like TypeScript and Sass. Like, if TypeScript gets shut down tomorrow, are you personally willing to either rip it out of your whole project or fork it, update it, and maintain your own fork of TypeScript so that your project can continue? And if you're not, consider not using it. And if you are willing to do it, I ask you where you get your funding and can I have some of it? Because I can't support all of those projects. Because if you support all those projects, you're never going to get your project done. One or the other. So there you go, JavaScript people. Yeah, my core rules engine, my card scripting API, my utility file, 3 separate modules for the engine and Doomtrooper. They have 0 dependencies. other than dev dependencies for Babel and building the cross compatibility. And fun fact, some of my stuff might not need Babel because I only render in Electron, which is a specific version of V8. So if I were to live in the ECMA script standard that my version of V8 supports, I wouldn't need to transpile my code and I could rip Babel out. However, I want there to be a browser version eventually, which means I would need to support other browsers. So I built it with Babel from the beginning. Yeah. I mean, some people might stick around for the rants, and they might leave when I start coding again. You never know. But if I choose one hill, 2 hills to die on. 2. It's stop band-aiding things that are broken in the programming world and fix the core problem by joining a technical committee or contributing or reading. Join the technical committee mailing list and just start reading the things other people are proposing. That is the first step. And the second hill I want to die on is stop arguing about things like my first point and just make shit. Like, they're conflicting a little bit. I'm super passionate about both, but like, don't spend all day deciding whether or not you should use TypeScript. If you want to use TypeScript, just fucking do it and get building and make something and come to these conclusions on your own. Because for 4 years now, I've been told that I'm an idiot for making games with JavaScript by multiple people who think they're so smart because they know how to use Unreal. And a lot of them have to recognize now that all of their passion and their anger and their knowledge that makes JavaScript stupid is great, but I have 3 games on Steam in JavaScript. So just make shit, but make it better. That connects them. Make shit, make the shit you use better, make the shit that powers your shit better, push everything forward. And stop shaming sex workers online. I'll throw that one in there. RecXL. I think refactoring JavaScript is a nightmare on large projects. TypeScript is rock solid. It's like writing tests as you write your code. I hear you, but TypeScript isn't going anywhere. I'm not saying that it should go anywhere, and I'm not saying that it's not awesome and rock solid. But it is a band-aid for JavaScript. It's not the fix for JavaScript. Just like the Babelized modules, the import syntax, like that was a band-aid for JavaScript. The real band-aid, or the real fix, would be arguably the ES6 modules or the MJS. Somebody corrected me last time. The new JavaScript module syntax. Like that is something that's built into the language. It's in the spec. Like that could be the answer. But instead, we rushed it and we made CommonJS and Require.js and all of those things. I mean, Babel is a band-aid. Webpack is a band-aid. TypeScript is a band-aid. They're all band-aids. Some band-aids are necessary. For me, I don't think TypeScript as a band-aid is necessary. I think I can live without it, and I've proven that I can live without it. Not saying it would make my code better. It might, but it's not. I'm not blocked by not having typing. I'm able to move forward. So, but I am blocked. I'm kind of a hypocrite. I'm not blocked by not using Babel. Like I could just work within the framework of things that are compatible with all browsers, but I don't want to deal with it, so I add Babel in. So yeah, I'm kind of a hypocrite. I'll call myself out, but we got to pick our own battles. Oh. Yeah, Dota Wallaby I just don't support because it's another hypocritical statement. It's pay to play. And most things that I use for my game, which I am going to charge money for, are all free software. So hypocritical statement there too, I guess. However, if I have software that I really want to use that costs money, I do pay for it. I pay for Circle CI, for continuous integration and building our Steam game. I pay for Sentry, which is incredible for finding bugs. I pay for GitHub. I do pay for things. I will make that clear. Oh. But yeah, I generally think dependencies are bad. Like, if I had to say npm install something or don't, it's always don't. until I have to. And I know that's like anti-JavaScript, but I don't want to deal with other programmers' bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, I still don't know why when I port it over the deck list, it doesn't look the same. This is stupid. All right. What if we said margin bottom 100? Nope, nothing. Okay. What the frickin'? Also doesn't scroll. It's like the old one scrolled, and this one is just extending itself all the way up. So how did we miss that CSS? Something with the scroll. Overflow auto, hidden scroll bar. Yeah, I mean, I can even make this bigger over here. I do not see what gives this its height. There it is. Display flex. Is this margin to view height? No, that doesn't do it. And width doesn't do it. Flex doesn't do it. Something gives that a magical height. The list, maybe? What is this? It's display. The list itself is display flex. I might as well try it. Nope, we did that too. It helps in refactoring because you have types, obviously, and those types change. Your code knows what's broken when it tries to compile. I hear you guys. Friendly conversation. I just could not imagine going back to JavaScript. It is important to understand how it's working for sure. And I'm not saying you should go back to JavaScript. I mean, there's a lot of times that I wish that I had types here. And I always argue, like with React, you have prop types. Like spend time writing your actual prop types, which I didn't do in this file, obviously, the big to-do, ironically. But if you spend time writing your proper prop types, you get basic typing in your React, and it kind of is a band-aid on the wound of needing TypeScript, which is nice. Yeah, I'm not saying that you should not use TypeScript, to be clear, and I'm not saying TypeScript isn't awesome. It's just, it's not helping the big picture. It's not making the world better. Man. You guys hear Robert Pattinson apparently got COVID, so they had to pause filming of the Batman. So that sucks. This shit, man. Why is that 660 pixels high? It's like inherited, not even computed from somewhere. I'm going to spend an entire stream just figuring that part out. This is so frustrating. Display flex, flex direction, column, align, items, flex start, justify content, flex start, box sizing, border box, border 5 pixels, solid, transparent. And that border doesn't do anything. No. Oh, it's transparent because it changes color when you drag it up. Yeah, because it's still scrolling. It's got a fixed height, but it is not defined. I mean, obviously I fucked something up in one of these. It's so weird. Yeah, and I, believe it or not, I know what I'm doing. I mean, hopefully my rant about JavaScript shows that I know a little bit about things, but shit. I mean, the hidden scroll bar just prevents there from being a scroll bar in this window. Like in this div. Yeah, it's weird. That shouldn't matter. Why is that 600 and whatever? Okay, so it's not anymore. So it is kind of fixed. I mean, what happens if I just keep putting cards in here? Does it? Yeah, it doesn't get any bigger. Or does it? All right, so it is getting bigger. It's just getting bigger behind it. Maybe I'm going about this wrong. So weird. It's display block. So what makes it live? Yeah, there's like something it lives without bumping down any further. Yeah, I just have them overlaid on top of each other. Just cannot for the life of me figure out why. Like it's not fixed. You can get rid of that whole thing, it's still there. Oh, maybe I should just not care and just recode it a different way until it works. See, it's like So it kind of works the same way. Pushes it down, it just will keep pushing it down. I wonder. Maybe it's like a different problem. Maybe it's this container. Like maybe the parent container. Man. This is why I wish I still had a CSS guy helping me. He would fix this in like 5 minutes. Huh. Just hoping somebody's just like, oh, obviously it's blah blah blah. Just scrolls. It's like black magic. What does this do? What is that? So the hidden scroll bar is separate. Oh, what is this? 81.7 view height. And then there's the flex. Still is not clear like how it gets its height, which is the thing that pisses me off, but yeah, so this is the old deck builder, and see how there's the buttons at the bottom, and then the deck scrolls behind the buttons. So these buttons are always visible, nice and beautiful. But in the new code that I built, it works the same here, but for some reason, when the deck gets longer, it just pushes it all the way down. It doesn't fix it at the bottom like it should. I mean, really, I need to, like, if I wasn't streaming, I would probably screenshot the DOM the right way and then open it the wrong way and try to just see where the discrepancies lie. So do we still have... Yeah, there's that 81.7 view height, and then inside of it is supposed to be the display flex, which is right there. And then inside that, is that white border? That's a difference. Deck card list? Oh, deck. Where did I put it? Here. Oh, I'm gonna laugh if it's this part that wasn't even supposed to exist. When we were doing the drag and drop, I put the drag too high on the component tree, just for like testing purposes. Ah. It works now. I had an extra div. Oops. Yay, progress. Yay. Yay. How do I have more viewers as I'm sitting here banging my head against CSS than when I went on such an eloquent rant against TypeScript? All right. So instead of having the div here or here or wherever the fuck it was for dropping the drag and drop, I just wrapped the deck card list, which it used to live inside the deck card list, but I don't want to move all the logic down a level, at least not yet, unless I have to. So now it's kind of hard to see, but it turns pink when you're over it, so I have to do the logic for dropping, but it at least works. That style for now. All right, well, progress, as the kids say. All right, so we should do something here. This is actually the fun work that I've been wanting to do. Deck details pane. This is actually really deck. So let's do the bare minimum. Let's do like a margin 50. So you can actually read it. Get rid of that words. So we're gonna need to make this pretty. I don't really know what that means. My girlfriend said if you say another bad word, she's gonna get the soap bar. Well, first off, I'm sorry to your girlfriend. I am actually trying to swear less, but I fear the swearing is on brand for me. Secondly, you have a girlfriend? I didn't know you had a girlfriend. I knew you had a dad. But girlfriend, this is news to me. I thought we told each other everything, Doom Guy. Whoa, that got dark, Mung. Nobody better be coming after me with a bag of soap or a sock of soap. That sounds like a tongue twister. Oh, she's mad at you now because you didn't tell me. Yeah, she should be. Did you tell her about me? Does she know about me, Doom Guy? She better know about me. Ugh. 2 years. That's a long time. See? How does she know about me, but I don't know about her? Now I'm mad at you. This is... What the hell, man? Get your shit together. I just swore again. Now she's mad at me, too. Alright, I should probably figure out what I need to put in here, and I can put placeholders in. Whoa! Oh! Oh! That was weird. Huh, scary. Oh, what just happened there? All right. I need to decide if I want to use the menu over here. Like, is it? You know what? No, I'm just gonna use the menu because that's what we have. We have a component called. Nope, that's not it. UI menu system. So we will use the menu. See? There you go, Dota. That's the smartest thing you've said yet. I wanted a different left menu, and then I was like, no, wait a sec. I'm assuming the rest of that sentence is, why am I going to reinvent the wheel when we already have an existing framework to work within? It took me 4 years to figure that out, so you figure it out faster than I do. And that's another compliment. Doesn't count if I add that at the end? Oh, I think it counts. Totally counts. Totally counts. Alright, let's get rid of that. They have to be wait, compliments can totally be intentional. How do you think I've been married this long? you have to do things with purpose. Be intentional. Oh man. All right, menu config is this stuff. So, promise I'll memorize this later, maybe. Deck menu. Deck menu, selected tab, 0. Set current tab, I don't care. Is demo mode, I don't care. Credentials, I don't think I care. So now we crash. Sweet. What did I break? Oh, it's right here. Boop. Why I just booped. Seemed like a thing to do. My linter causes swearing? Why? Because it makes you fix your code? Balance online. Fix everything. So now, we'll say deck options, general deck options. And I'll go ahead and throw another one on here because I promised stats. Deck stats. Deck stats. And we get rid of this button. Alright, so what else do I need for the deck builder? So general would be like delete the deck, maybe some very basic stats. Deck stats would be more detailed. I think the history of the deck, like the revisions, would be shown on the stats tab. Maybe importing and exporting. What are you oohing, Doom Guy? Say import, export, title, import, oops, export your deck data, save a deck to your hard drive, or upload a saved deck. Oh! Nice. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what other options I've promised that would live in here. So general would be delete my deck. The basic info, like how many cards you have and stuff. Delete my deck. And setting custom avatar versus screen title to go with that deck. So when you use that deck, you get that cosmetic item. And I might as well make the tabs work while I'm here. Use state const selected tab comma set selected tab equals use state 0. Set current tab would be set selected tab. Selected tab, and now it should have state, right? Yep. React is cool. I think that's the main tabs. So this will have the import and the export. Stats will show you all the stats I have for your current deck revision, and then like a table of all of your previous revisions with a button and that you can revert back to the previous one. Notes is good. Notes is good. But I would have to... I'd have to store that in the database. I mean, I guess I could just store it on your computer, but that doesn't do me any good. Yeah, Doom Guy, it's funny because most of these features are already done. They're just not... there's no UI for it. Like, the API exists already. I feel like I'm forgetting one, though. I feel like there was something... like, big-ish that I wanted to do. I'm always like, oh, we're going to have this someday. We're going to have this someday. Oh, well. I mean, I already track a lot of stuff, so... The question is, do I need a separate tab for the cosmetic stuff? Because there's a lot of space, like setting your avatar. Probably not. You could probably just put it like at the top here. Picture of your card back, your versus screen, and your everything that you chose. It's probably okay. I don't know, I can always revisit it. So we got the filters working, we got the deck details working. We never got the new decks working. I guess I might as well hook that up. Get new decks. New decks button. Get new decks. Do I need that to be in Redux? I mean, I made everything else in Redux. Feels weird to not make that one in Redux, but I usually just leave it out for the time being and add it when I need it. So we'll start there. Is deck browser visible? Set deck browser visible equals use state false. Set deck browser visible true. It is cool what you can do with something like React.js, and then building like a framework on top of React.js can let you do stuff like this a lot quicker. You know, like the menu system. It's already imported here. system. Oh, I was in the wrong file. Damn it. What file was I in? There it is. Maybe. Sometimes it's just silly to break it up too much, though. Like when I started, we broke everything up into these tiny files, and then you end up only using the file in one place. So it's like putting in its own file seemed kind of wasteful. I don't know. Anyways, like this will be its own file eventually, but for now it won't be. Is deck browser visible? And we will say UI. I guess we don't need the menu system there. Set deck browser visible false. Don't need to dispatch that yet because it's not in Redux. Whoa. VS Code's fighting me a little there. So we will just put a header in here and say deck browser. Boom. So this will be fun though. The idea here, we'll reuse the table. Oh, I just did it again. What did I hit? Oh, I think it's just a drag and drop problem. I think drag and drop is fighting with hot reload, which I don't understand why. We have a table here. I don't have any data in it though. The table here just shows, like it's a table component that we can reuse. It just has rows and columns. I'm going to reuse that, but when you click here, you'll get a table that shows you public decks ranked by the number of people who have installed them, or maybe the number of people who have a higher win rate with them. I don't know what I'll be able to do. But then you'll be able to, and that reminds me now, you'll be able to come in here and there'll be a button that says like publish deck. So you'll be able to click a button and it'll be like, are you sure you want other people to be able to see this deck? And you'll say yes. And then other people will go into here and they'll see the deck in the table. And you can just click a button which will do the import, which will import it into yours. So effectively, you'll come here, you'll click the deck, and it'll just show up right here. And then you can come in and see the deck that you just imported, which is nice. And all of that already exists. There's just no UI for it. So we just gotta hook up the API to pull down the deck templates and hook up the API for marking them as public, and hook up the API for posting the deck template to your account, which will set it. Which is really the same APIs for the import-export. I just have to make sure I do some proper sanitizing for when I import it off your hard drive and it doesn't screw things up like maliciously. So yes, Doom Guy, that's the goal. If you import one from here, from your hard drive, or from the deck browser, it will allow it, but the card that you don't have will be grayed out. I'm gonna have to double check all that logic once I get to that point, but I need to make sure that you can filter though. Like you need to be able to say show unobtained cards and then drag that one, where currently you can't drag cards you don't have. But I'm guessing what we'll do is you'll be able to drag the card you don't have, and when you drop it, there'll be a confirmation. It's like, you don't currently have any copies of this card, so this deck will be invalid. Or did you mean to add it? And then when you say yes, it'll add it, but then the deck will get a warning that says it's no longer valid. So really all we have to do is hook up all these UIs. And it's all, you know, the table already exists, and the APIs already exist, and the sagas already exist. It's just kind of connecting the wires, which should go a lot faster now that I'm not stuck behind a CSS wall. But yeah, the deck delete should work, I think. Not anymore. It does work. It just tries to render it again, even though the cards aren't there. That's fun. So when you delete a deck, it needs to kick you out of that view so that you're no longer trying to render a deck that doesn't exist. It's the little things. It's the little things that are so much fun. Oh. Well, there we go. I feel like I'm missing like a background here. Didn't the other... Yeah, there's like these dots back there. Oh, it's because I don't have that new deck button. Where's that? That's weird. Oh, it's right in front of me. There it is. Yep. Dot separator. Right there. So there's this little blob here. Deck list. That's not fun though. I'm gonna have to recode the logic for creating a deck. I think one of you guys got stuck the other day with creating a deck and putting a cartel guy in it, and then the deck won't let you add any other factions because it thinks it's a cartel deck. Like that kind of stuff I have to fix. There we go. Hey, now the dots are back. Oh wait, no. Am I on the wrong one? I might be on the wrong one. No, I'm on the right one. Okay, we're good. So we have to make that window work. Not bad though, it's getting there. Yeah, we're trying to add, I mean, I'm gonna have to change it. This Club Arcadin card, your warriors with a general affiliation gain +5. The only problem is we're gonna switch it to general and cartel, and then general includes the bodyguard. So if you play the bodyguard with frontline and he gains +5 to his armor, it's like a permanent stopper. So we're gonna have to tweak that. Whatever it is, it's gonna buff cartel decks. Like, if we do change a card, we try to keep the spirit of the card the same. So Club Arcadin is meant to support general and cartel decks, so we're gonna try to keep that spirit. I just don't know. Bodyguard just blocks it. Like if we added it, it breaks the game entirely because of the bodyguard. I mean, I can't agree that it's not a problem. I don't think it's like the problem. It's not the end of the world. It's just you won't be able to slay him very easily. So if you get a turn 1 bodyguard, turn 1 club Arcadin, you buy yourself 3-4 turns before somebody can get a big guy enough out to kill it in a lot of cases. I feel like it'll just be a headache and people be complaining that the club Arcadin bodyguard combo is too powerful, just like negative karma fool's gold and reversal fortune and all that shit. It would be interesting to like keep the +5 but make it strip out abilities or frontline, so you play that and it's like it's a distinct counter. It's like I don't need my bodyguard to be a bodyguard. I need him to be a beast that can attack. Sure, I mean, there's plenty of ways to deal with everything. It doesn't mean people don't complain about it. Like, there's plenty of ways to deal with the cybersecurity MP card, but people are still like not. Some people are not playing because cybersecurity MP is too powerful, and they're sick of playing against it. Also, another thing we're missing from the screen, by the way, is the right click. It brings in the card details on the right. And we never figured out last week how to sort this. I still don't know. Like, where do I put the button to sort? Sort by type, sort by whatever. I mean, I figured out it was going to just be a button, but where does that button go? I could stack another button here, but that's taking up a lot of space for the dragging and dropping. So it looks like my deck title. Interesting, it's supposed to say the length of cards, but it never renders. Is editing, it must always be true. Doesn't seem right. Refresh this shit. Mitch McGrader. So if is editing, it should have the selected deck and at least these parentheses. Otherwise, value equals name. I mean, I can change this to banana. Yeah, it says banana at all times. That's a bug. I don't know if we can split buttons with our UI. I'll have to try it. Why is that true? Is editing is false. Set is editing is set to false when you stop editing. The fuck? I feel like I'm missing something stupid. So we're editing, we're done editing. It sets, it's editing to false. Something's funky. This should be false, which means this should fail. Oh wait, do I have this logic backwards? Oh my god. I've been saying I'm bad with Boolean logic. Oh my god, I just had... Where did I do... Oh, making sure the patch worked. Yeah, so I just had this backwards. I'm such an idiot. I should not be coding this many hours per day. It is not good for my game dev, or my sanity, or my marriage, or my health. I have a pretty strong opinion against that, Dota. Two separate if statements. Well, now I'm not certain on my reasoning, but two separate if statements is extra verbose, and I think more CPU cycles. Yeah, it really comes down to readability. Like if you can read and understand how something works, then it's fine. But I mean, let me show you what your suggestion looks like. So if you like that, I'm going to make you rewrite this function because it's a nightmare. Like if you look at this function and you have 10 seconds to look at it, and I say, how does this work when combat ends? And how does it cancel power immunity? It's impossible. It's like crazy to come in here and look at it. Sympathy, the rating with oh my god. I feel like I should play the Liquid Death video, but it's too long. It's like the best like raid music that I have. Oh. Well, what is going on, Sympathy? You came in the middle of arguing on whether or not it's good to have nested if statements crammed together or just put it all in one line. Common JavaScript dilemma. But I welcome all my new friends. Another game dev wanted to check out your project. Well, here we are. So I make a game engine and collectible card game in JavaScript, and it's as crazy as it sounds. I mean, I'm gonna guess Sympathy's coming here with maybe a Unity or an Unreal game. A lot of times people think I'm crazy for not using one of those languages, but I made my own engine for JavaScript because I saw a new kind of window. Like I saw this weird connection with my game dev knowledge and my JavaScript knowledge, and I tried to combine them. And everybody said I was crazy, but here I am, and I'm still doing it. And as I said earlier, I have technically three games using this engine on Steam. So, well, shit, man, I appreciate that. Man or woman or other. Don't mean to call out your gender here. I don't know you. But yeah, I have the collectible card game is my baby, and the engine front end is React.js and Electron JavaScript. The back end is Happy.js with MongoDB database. It's entirely Node.js JavaScript based, front to back database, JSON, everything, and it works strangely. I surprise myself sometimes on that one. Yeah, Xcode Media. It's Electron. It's a few versions old, but yeah, it is Electron. And I was talking about it earlier. We made two short horror games using the same engine, and I made it more engine-y. By the way, I hate this guy. Since I have a wider audience now, if you ever see this guy and his stupid effing face and his stupid effing mug, punch him and say, "This is for the internet." If you don't know who he is, Lucky you. Oh, did I lose my window? I may have lost my window. But I have, I just find it again, I'm sure. So the engine is a little bit better to work with the newer versions than the one I'm using for the card game, and I hope to port it back soon. But I made plugins, which is the main fun thing for JavaScript. So the debug console, if you hit the tilde key, you get this little debug console and you can type commands in like old school Doom or Quake. That's a plugin in the new version, and plugins look like this. So it just exports like your keyboard commands, your data selectors, your data store, your actions, what's the actual UI going to look like, and the name of the plugin. And it'll auto-inject, like if you know anything about React.js and stuff, it will auto-inject your reducers into the data store. It'll auto-put your keyboard handlers into the keyboard handler protocols, and it'll automatically do your sagas, if you've ever used Redux sagas for communicating with your APIs or doing complex data processing. So everything, you can have just a little folder called console, and it exports like this, and you can plug it into the engine as a whole and render it immediately and get access to the data and the actions and everything. So I've made the engine a lot more extendable so that in the future I'll be able to use it for more games and let other people use it as well. Python background. Python is a great argument for my case of everyone's like, oh, what should I use to make a game? What should I use to make a game? And not a lot of people choose Python, but you totally can. I don't know if people are still using Pygame at all, but I know Pygame existed for a while as a way to use Python for game development. You don't have to, I always tell people you don't have to use Unreal, you don't have to use Unity, especially if you don't know them or you don't know the languages. You can pick something that you do like and that you do know and just go with it. And if anybody tells you like, that's stupid, don't use Python for game development, you should use Unity, or you should use whatever you're not using, just get something done. Like I said earlier, like you can tell me that JavaScript is stupid till you're blue in the face, and I can show you 3 games I made on Steam that are using it. So in a lot of the arguments I win. It's fun. And I always tell people, like when I give talks and stuff, like don't worry about learning what to use, just pick what you know and start messing around. And if it's the wrong tool for the job, maybe eventually you'll learn and you'll move to something else, or maybe you'll make it work. It's totally doable. Yeah, you definitely got to draw from what you know. So glorified website then, cool. Yes and no, Camo. The game actually does not currently run in a browser. So there's that. Mainly because it's heavily tied to the Electron layer to do things like plugin downloads and communicating with the file system and that kind of stuff. But you are a woman. See, that's why I caught myself, Sympathy. I'm a little behind on the chat, sorry, but I call everybody man and dude, and then I realize like well, true story. I called one of my trans friends like big guy once, but not like to gender them, but I just call everybody big guy from being a kid. I'll be like, oh, what's up, big guy? Like, I don't care what gender you are. It's like, dude, I mean it gender agnostic. But then I realized I got to be more careful with that shit. So if I call somebody a gender pronoun, I'm usually good at catching myself. Yeah. Did you write the graphical engine for JS? Is there a built-in graphical library or something? Yes and yes. So I'm actually rendering everything with standard HTML DOM. The reason being, like if I start a game, I made this example before. Like I start a game, like right now you got these cool animations with the characters, they're parallaxing, but nothing else was really moving. So if you get to when it's my turn, in just a second, so like right here, after the banner goes away, nothing is really happening. So if you know anything about HTML and you consider these all being divs on the screen, like nothing is happening. I don't need 60 frames a second. I don't need 100 frames a second. I don't need a render loop, because for a card game specifically, and we're learning other types of games, there's nothing rendering per se. So when we made the we made a JRPG tile set for like a, say, Final Fantasy Super Nintendo looking game. And we learned that for the best performance, we could just make the character sprites a GIF and have them animate at the right size. So the little walking animation with the guy going like this is just a GIF. And it doesn't hurt the game at all. And the player has no idea. Like if I didn't tell you it was a GIF and you didn't look at the source, you'd never know. And if you look at the gold border behind my head here, it animates and it flickers. Like a gold flicker will go around every few seconds. That is a GIF as well. We brought that technique from the horror game we made into this because all that matters is how it looks to the end user. And then, so using divs and images, like I can drag everything when I need to very quickly and I don't get much lag. And it's because I'm maximizing my use of HTML for where I need the CPU power, which would be dragging and the parallaxing images and that kind of thing. So it's kind of crazy. I'm in Los Angeles, so Californian, yay. I'm trying to do cool stuff. Most importantly, I'm doing consistent stuff. I'm consistently with JavaScript. I'm consistently stern on my opinions of what modules you should and shouldn't use. I had a long rant earlier about TypeScript, if you're familiar. And I'm consistently streaming every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. So please follow, subscribe, bits, like, all that stuff, because I'm pretty good at making sure I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday evening to stream for, it's usually 2 hours, but like tonight I go over, especially when I have cool people to hang out with, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, you'd be surprised, speaking of the graphics, like if you come in and you examine, I know it's kind of probably hard to read, I'll pop it out, but if you examine what is actually happening on the screen, we kind of overcomplicated it. Like this little square right here above me, it's got a lot of layers. You can kind of see them glowing as I highlight them. Like our artist, friend of a friend of a friend, he works at Square Enix. At least last I talked to him. I haven't followed up post-COVID. But he does marketing for like Final Fantasy VII Remake and stuff. And in his nighttime, he's looking for extra money. And he made the UI art, not the painted art, but all of the UI you see. And he did a really great job. And then we just used CSS and HTML to layer everything in place. So it's really kind of a testament to you can do a lot with the tools that you have if you just are willing to think outside the box a little bit. So it's a little crazy. How long have I been doing live dev? It's been, well, Brian, if he's still here, he just hit 4 months on his subscription, and he was my first subscriber. So it's been about 4 months, maybe a little more. It's fun to see people come back. It's fun to get rated by other people who are doing similar things. I appreciate the raid, and I will try to return the favor if I can. I don't know if I can follow you easily from the menu. Well, I can add you as a friend, apparently, so it's up to you if you want to confirm or deny that. I'm learning Vue.js because I heard it's an easier React cover. Based on what you mentioned about React, I'm wondering if Vue is a good front end to start learning. I mean, like I said before, if you want to use Vue, and there's nothing stopping you from making a game in Vue, to my knowledge. I don't have enough technical knowledge to do the holy war of Vue versus React, but I can say that React has consistently, for better and for worse, just ripped the guts out of their own engine and improved it. And they always keep the backwards compatibility for a really long time, but they've done what they have to do to stay modern, to stay fast, and to stay performant. It used to use this weird helper function syntax. Then they switched to classes, like C++ classes style in JavaScript, object-oriented, inheritance, all that. And then people realized that was too much boilerplate, and now all their components are functional. And I had a breakthrough last Tuesday where I realized that the new functional components are making things so much easier with so many less lines of code. Like, it's genius. So I really do stand by the React team and what they're doing, and React Native especially. So a lot of my code would port to React Native. So when I want to run on iOS or Android or Xbox, I'd be able to do it. And then there's even like React VR. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with React. Sympathy, good to meet you. I will try to find your stream, add you, whatever. I have trouble with Twitch chat. I can't seem to ever get it to let me do what I want to do. But hopefully I will be able to check out your stream soon. And thank you for the love. But yeah, Xcode, definitely, I mean, if you like it, use it. And if you dive into Vue and you're like, this just doesn't feel right, then, you know, do a React tutorial and give it a shot. Like, I mean, it probably won't make a lot of sense and it looks really, really weird, but, like, I'm trying to think of an example, maybe from the old one. Yeah, so this is old React code here. We're looking at deck list, right, is 376 lines, and it's classes. And then my new deck list from the refactor has almost the same functionality, and it's 101 lines. So it's a third the amount of lines. Like I said, I know it's not going to make sense to someone who doesn't know a lot of React, but you have these things called hooks. So every time the deck list renders, it's going to call this function. Oops, just fucked that up. It's going to call the deck list function, and it's going to render whatever you return from it. But hooks are like, they're memoized cached functions, so it won't create a new dispatch every time it comes through. Using the React hook system, it'll create a dispatch variable here the first time, and then the second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, it'll just use the same one. And that continues to pretty much the way all hooks work. And you do these things called effects, where you put a dependency array at the end, which is this array. It's empty, so that means this will fire the first time the component renders and never again. But if I were to come in here and say, okay, well, drop. Now, anytime, it'll do the first time, and then anytime drop changes, it will call it again. So you're basically saying anything in this array, when it changes, fire this thing again. And it's a lot to wrap your head around. Like, it took me as a senior React developer, it took me like a good week or two of playing around with the hooks to really like see the matrix. But once you get it, it's like every time your function calls, it can do nothing based on your dependencies, or it can do tons of different side effects that you need to fire. And you have complete control over which one's going to fire where, and which ones are cached, and which ones are memoized, and all this crazy efficiency stuff. And it ends up being a third the amount of code that you would have used in React, say, 2-3 years ago. I don't know, there's some cool stuff happening. So I highly recommend React, but people say really great stuff about Vue as well, so. Oh, man. Game timed out. So on stream, I've just been building. By the way, I'm wrapping up, but I appreciate you guys coming to hang out. But I've been rebuilding our deck builder. So we're getting pretty close to having all the core stuff done, which is fun. I still got to figure out the new deck and fill in some blanks, but like there's a new deck details button where you can come in and you can see all the history of your deck stats. You can import, export things, you can import, export decks. So I don't know if anybody plays Hearthstone or whatnot, but you could export the deck to your hard drive, similar to how Hearthstone allows it, and then import it later. So if you want to erase all your decks, but keep a backup on your hard drive, in case you decide you want one again, we allow that functionality. And then I also store all of your revisions, similar to like a code repository, so that you can see the stats for every time you change the deck, and if you change it for the better or for the worse, you can revert back to a previous revision. I just have to hook up UI for all that. So a lot of work. But we're getting there. I always forget we can search by keyword now, which is really exciting. Oh man. Yeah, so I think I'm about done, unfortunately. Promised my my lovely wife that I would spend time with her after my stream, so I try to make sure I do that since I work 13 hours a day, ish. Oh man, but yeah, anybody who came in from Sympathy stream, please follow and stick around. We will be back on Sundays. My wife and I actually do a community stream on Sunday where we actually talk more about the game specifically, what we've been working on. We do weekly updates on Monday. So if you want to check out the game, there's a link below. It's also in chat. People posted it a few times where you can get in and give it a shot. It's totally free right now. And you have all of the cards that we've implemented, but we're moving towards our monetization in the next couple months. But it'll still be very generous with free stuff. So if you like card games, definitely play it. And we will also be giving away more stuff. I'm building tools for it to automate it so I don't have to worry about it. But people who watch the stream and hang out with us, I'll be giving away free packs and free variant cards and that kind of stuff in the streams, kind of like Twitch drops style. Also giving Discord drops for people who hang out in our Discord. I really appreciate people who appreciate the work that I do. I mean, I work on this. I work on code in some fashion, and it all ends with this, like 13 hours on most days, and it's really kind of depressing. So, it would be depressing if you guys weren't here to hang out with me, and I watch more people show up and hang out every week, and it kind of inspires me to keep working on it. So, even if the game's not a huge financial success, technically I've created my own engine, and I'm going to create more and more games with the engine, and I'm having a lot of fun doing the live streaming and learning as I go and meeting new people. So, Xcode Media, I think I got that one right. Thank you for the subscribe. Means a lot. I hopefully will be using money from the Twitch stream whenever I get paid again from Twitch I always try to upgrade stream equipment. You know, I got a nice microphone and my lights and the green screen and that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff helps me have an excuse to improve all of this. The next round will probably go towards paying an artist to help me make some pretty overlays, because I'm kind of lacking on the overlays, unfortunately. And Ruby, thank you for following as well. I appreciate that. It's like I said, it's weird because like my games went to mostly positive recently as we got more reviews on Steam, and one of the reviews was just the word insane and thumbs down. And I'm like, you guys don't realize, like, I work so hard on this, and you type a one-word negative response on Steam, and it could literally ruin me. And emotionally, it does ruin me. Like, if I lose my positive feedback, like, it's like, why do I work all these hours? Why do I do all these things? So, people coming in here and chatting and rating and subscribing and all that, like, it's this positive yin and yang, like, you guys are the good, and then I have to deal with the people who don't give a shit giving me negative reviews on Steam or sending in-game feedbacks just like, this game sucks. It's like, cool. Thanks. I spent all my money and all my mental health on it, and I'm glad you hated it. Have a nice day. Trash game, 2,000 hours played. Yeah. No, I know there's always trolls, but it's still hard. It's hard. When I'm working this many hours, like 7 days a week, and I'm stuck inside in Los Angeles with COVID-19 killing everybody outside, like and the political climate of everything, like you throw all that together, like my own mental health is like pushed to the limit, and then someone's just gonna come in and ruin my good review just by saying, insane, don't buy. It's like, it's hard. It's really hard. So I try to focus on the positive, like in the Twitch stream with cool people hanging out with me, and I don't have to worry about getting too upset because, you know, even if you say I'm tough and I'm not going to let it bother me, like it still bothers you when it's literally your life's work and someone just shits all over it with a one-word review. So anyways, my point is I appreciate you guys hanging out and subscribing and following and maybe coming back and hanging out some more. I'll be back on Sunday, like I said, with the wife, and Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll be coding. And I always say I might add another day. It's just my schedule is so busy running the company and managing and all that stuff. I don't know when I can, but as the game gets finished, I'll probably stream some more. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife so I don't end up divorced with a insane thumbs down game on Steam. That would be a double bad day. So thank you guys for hanging out. I will leave you with, the new people don't know, I have been obsessed with this water in a can. It is called Liquid Death. It's also on my hat. When I started Twitch streaming, one of my goals was I'm going to get sponsored by Liquid Death. And I can't say necessarily that I'm sponsored yet, but I am affiliated officially. There is a code, which I don't know if this link works. I haven't actually tried it. But basically, it's code secret cow level, gets you 10% off water orders. And I'm not pushing them because I like make a bunch of money or they're sponsoring me or whatever. I'm pushing them because I've always loved them and I am proud to be affiliated with them. Drinking tons of canned water prevents me from drinking tons of canned soda, so I highly recommend it to everybody. And their branding is super on point, which you're about to see as I sign off. So I will leave you guys with my new official affiliated Liquid Death commercial, I guess. But trust me, it's worth seeing as long as you have no small children in the room. If you do have small children in the room or really don't like horror and cartoons, then, I understand if you don't want to stick around. But I'll be back on Sunday. I'll leave you with some Liquid Death. And thank you guys so much for the new people and the old people alike hanging out and keeping me sane while I'm making this insane, stupid JavaScript, failed, whatever insulty, trolly stuff people have been saying about me, because I love it and I love you guys. Peace out.
Sourced and bottled in majestic mountains, Liquid Death Mountain Water will murder your thirst.
Now I'll pour into Liquid Death.
Seriously, it's good. Okay, bye.